Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for January 16th, 2012. Of course, it is Martin Luther King Day. And I first want to say, it's great to celebrate a man who did amazing things for this country and was a true leader for all people of the United States and the world. So let's see what we have out here for the Northern Mid-Atlantic, the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. We have very cold temperatures throughout the region, as you probably could tell outside. Temperatures range from the single digits over some of the northwestern territories, all the way to the lower 20s along the immediate coast, and some of our urban locations like in Philadelphia and New York City. Of course, temperatures are in the lower to mid teens over much of the northern mid-Atlantic because we have an Arctic air mass in place. But notice something very important with the wind direction. It's becoming from the southeast. It's veering towards the southeast. We have light winds from the north and then light winds from the southeast. Clearly, we have high pressure sitting right over the New York City metropolitan area, right about here. But this southeasterly wind is very important because a warm front is going to be approaching tonight. Now, the key factor here and why this is so important is that this southeasterly wind is going to warm up the air mass before the warm front even gets close to the northern mid-Atlantic. And that means that any threat for snow, sleet, or freezing rain will be greatly diminished because the air mass in place is already moderating. So that is really important to keep an eye on, because if these winds were coming from the northeast and let's say the high pressure system was sitting around Syracuse, well, then we'd be dealing with a very, very dangerous situation with a lot of ice. However, the high pressure system is moving east, and with that, winds will be veering to the southeast, which means we'll be warming up. So let's take a look at the water vapor satellite picture. And I like to use the water vapor satellite picture because it kind of gives you a better idea of what's going on in the atmosphere as a whole. Not just the clouds, but also where the actual moisture in the atmosphere is moving. Now, as you can see, high pressure is sitting right over the immediate coast here, and it is sliding to the east, and that's going to keep our winds, that's going to lead to our winds veering to the southeast. This is the warm front that's going to cause some trouble tonight. Now, this warm front is going to rapidly move to the northeast, and by tonight we'll see increasing clouds and showers beginning to develop. Now, this is not a widespread heavy precipitation event, but when you're dealing with a little bit of sleet and freezing rain for the northern interior, we're talking about northeastern Pennsylvania, northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley, and northwestern Connecticut, well, you only need a little bit of ice to cause some trouble. Now, the good news is that temperatures will be rising throughout the early morning hours tomorrow, so I don't expect a major ice threat, but a tenth of an inch is possible in some locations, and of course, that is going to create some slick roads. So use some caution tomorrow morning when you're driving out there. So here's the basic setup. Our low pressure system drives towards the Great Lakes. Warm front moves through tonight into tomorrow morning, and then this cold front here moves through tomorrow evening, producing more showers. Let's take a look at the radar, and you can see here's our precipitation starting to form, some warm air advection. That warm air is moving towards the northern mid-Atlantic, and so it's trying to move over our cold dome of air that's in place right now. And so as a result, we get these showers breaking out. But again, notice this isn't a widespread heavy precipitation event. These showers are scattered, they're broken up, and I don't really expect much in the way of intensification of this low pressure system or this precipitation shield. So we're looking at a light precipitation event with scattered rain and snow showers, a little bit of sleet and freezing rain for the northwestern interior. Everyone goes over to rain by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, if not sooner. First, I'm going to use the GFS model, guys, because I think right now all the models pretty much handle this threat similarly. Here we are this morning with the high pressure right over us. By this afternoon, notice the high pressure system is off the coast, and notice all the winds are now coming from the south and southeast. When you have the pressure gradient like this, that means warm air is on the move, and there's nothing to keep the cold air in place. And you can see that even at 850 millibars, and that's just this afternoon. By this evening, air is really warming up over 850 millibars, so the threat of snow is rapidly declining. Again, our high pressure system is off the east coast. We have a southeasterly to southerly wind firmly in place. Our warm front's on the move. Precipitation's on the way. And then by tonight, You'll see some precipitation break out. Again, here is our ice threat right here. Okay, because notice we have a little bit of a cading down over portions of northeastern Pennsylvania. This is primarily due to just the fact that cold air is going to get trapped in some of these valleys. So although cold air is being driven out of the region, we do still have some lingering areas. We're talking about temperatures around 31, 32 degrees that will support that freezing rain and sleet mix for a short period of time early on tomorrow morning, anywhere from 11 p.m. tonight on through about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Then by the time we get to 8 a.m., you can see that that warm air is just driven all the way into New England. Temperatures are above freezing for the entire northern mid-Atlantic, so we end up with rain being the primary and really the only precipitation by the time we get to 8 a.m. So it's going to be a wet rush hour, but the key point here is that the ice will be gone, and those temperatures will be rising through the 30s and into the 40s for the Tuesday morning rush hour. By Tuesday afternoon, of course, we are really into the warm sector, and that means temperatures are in the 40s to lower 50s. So obviously, any threat for ice is going to be very short-lived, and it's going to be driven out of there very quickly. It's going to be very warm tomorrow afternoon with temperatures in the 40s and lower to mid-50s, making for a wet, but yet, I mean, let's face it, it's not that bad for January. I mean, temperatures in the 50s. Last year we had blizzards, so clearly we're in a much better shape this winter. Moving forward, by tomorrow evening, our cold front moves through. We do have a few scattered showers. High pressure returns for Wednesday and much of Thursday with dry conditions. And another passing cold front is on the way for Friday morning with a few scattered rain and snow showers. Now, this cold front is going to usher in another Arctic air mass and knock our temperatures back down into the 40s and 30s. Won't be as brutal as the one that we're currently in, but still, we're going to keep our temperatures basically right around the near normal mark for this time of year, 30s and lower 40s. Again, watch out for a few snow showers here on Friday morning, but nothing too heavy, nothing significant. Then we move towards this weekend. Now, we have two potential outcomes for this weekend. Now, by Saturday, we have a disturbance that is going to be on the move, and there will be a threat for some scattered snow showers initially. This is very similar to the pattern that we have right now. Now, on the GFS, the high pressure system moves to the east and allows us to warm up pretty quickly. So any precipitation that falls, if it falls, is relatively light. And more importantly, the pattern is pretty progressive on the GFS guidance, pretty much similar to what we have right now. And I really have some doubts as to whether or not this precipitation actually reaches this far north or is driven right out into the Atlantic. And I mentioned that in the premium discussion at greater detail as to why I have some doubts on just how far north this precipitation event gets, considering how progressive this pattern is. So I'm a little hesitant to go with a precipitation event right now for the weekend. I'm going with scattered clouds with temperatures in the 40s and 50s. I really don't see this as being a winter threat. However, the European model guidance is a little bit more aggressive with the winter threat, but I have some hard time buying into the idea because when we look at the pattern as a whole, yes, there's high pressure to the north, but again, it's progressive. And I really don't see anything at 500 millibars that's going to keep this high pressure system in place like the European model guidance is trying to suggest. And then even by Sunday, that warm air is just dominating all of the eastern United States. So anything that does frozen in the form of maybe a snow shower or a little bit of sleet is going to melt rapidly. Again, the only difference between this pattern that we have now on the GFS and this pattern on the European model guidance is this high pressure system. There's more emphasis put on a high pressure system off the East Coast rather than over Quebec. And given the pattern in place, I like the idea of off the East Coast rather than over Quebec for this next low pressure system. So that is the forecast discussion for today. Again, I hope everyone has a safe and wonderful day. You can always follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.